Pet training in Wizard101 is very similar to real life. Your pet is your baby, and babies are way too expensive. You need a lot of money, food, time, and energy. But even if you put a ton of effort, it could still turn out to be a failure just like yourself. So in today's video, I'll explain the fundamentals of pet training and show you the step-by-step process. This is an educational video, so if you skip through it, you'll be very confused. In order to breed with someone, you need to be an adult. This means leveling your pet up by either questing with it or forcing it to take dance lessons in the pet pavilion. Then you shove as much food as you possibly can so that it grows up faster. There are 7 ages, and 5 of them will reveal a new talent. Your first pet was given to you in Wizard City when you were around level 5. Or if you have open packs before, you probably have random pets in your backpack. But unfortunately, all of those pets are garbage, including the overly priced pets in the crown shop. The only way to get a good pet is to constantly hatch over and over with the perfect pet you want. The perfect pet that you want for questing is a quint damage pet with all of the stat numbers maxed out. Quint damage means that your pet has 4 damage talents with mighty, and then you dual socket your 5th damage talent that your pet didn't get. To acquire the jewel, you either craft it or farm for it, and it is a very last step of pet training, so you don't need to worry about it until the very end. The damage talents are named Dealer, Giver, Paingiver, Painbringer, and Boon. Mighty is a talent that will appear invisible on your pet, so you can only see it if you look at the page that shows your talent pools. And what Mighty does is that it increases the strength number, which affects the amount of damage your pet will have. If you don't have Mighty, you will lose out on having extra damage. Strength, Will, and Power all affect damage, and the goal is to have those numbers to its max, which is 255 strength, or if it has Mighty, then it increases it to 320 strength, 260 willpower, and 250 power. But in most cases, your pet will be 1 or 2 numbers off, which is still acceptable to reach the max amount of damage. You will notice that pets often have a pet card on them. The most ideal pets with a pet card are AoEs for life and death, or sharpened blade for the other schools. The school of a pet has nothing to do with anything, you only care about the talents. Having a pet with a sharpened blade card allows you to enchant your blade to 45%, and it will stack with the regular spells when you train it in Azteca. It is much better than having a pet that gives you a blade because you can't enchant that. You might as well just use treasure cards. So where can you find the perfect pet to hatch with? If you're on console, you will most likely need to rely on the Pet Kiosk. The Pet Kiosk is essentially like a brothel. The prices are absolutely absurd, and you risk your pet contracting an STD if you're hoeing around with different people. So you need to stay loyal to the same pet, which is often difficult because it might show up as unavailable. So the reason behind the pet showing up as unavailable is because other people are breeding with the same pet. So the pet needs an hour to cool down, similar to real life when you want to go for round 2. If you're using the kiosk, you can only search up to 2 talents. This should be Mighty and the school of your dealer talent. Then flick through the pages until you find the perfect pet. Right now, it would be difficult to find pets with the perfect stat numbers in the kiosk, so then you either just go for the talents and skip trying to get the max stats, or if you want both max stats and talents for the perfect pet, then you contact people in the official Wizard101 Discord server and hatch with people in person. You meet up with them, but the downside is that you have to wait until they go online for you to hatch with them, and pet training is a very long process, so if you're impatient, you need to rely on the kiosk. But if you are patient, then go for that.
But at some point, this is going to be full and you'll be able to find a pet. Now, this process is long. There is no way to speed this up. It is going to suck.
Once you have found a pet with max stats and the talents you want, take a photo of it so that you remember who you hatched with. After the hatch, your egg will have a timer, and you can quick hatch it by paying more gold, or you can just wait it out. Now that you have the pet, you're going to train it up to be a professional dancer and feed it snacks. After 25 games, you will notice you can unlock the skip game button. This will save you a lot of time, but it's only worth skipping if you have nutritional snacks to feed your pet. This is why you often hear the word couch potatoes thrown around, because it is a plant that gives you unlimited gold and unlimited mega snacks. The only downside is that you have to invest a lot of time into acquiring the plants, at least 69 of them, which will take a lot of time, but once you do it, you never need to do it ever again. And also the fact that it requires energy to garden, so instead of using that energy to pet train, you have to use it for gardening. Alternatively, you can buy Shanta puddings in the bazaar, but they are very expensive, and you will find yourself running out of gold.
Snacks at the bazaar, is that bad? No, until you can get better ones. You really need to get couch potatoes. They're the best. Oh yeah, don't buy mega snack packs. Those are the absolute worst thing to buy. The plants, like, they give you infinite mega snacks. They literally give you infinite mega snacks.
But now that you've learned the fundamentals, let's go through the step-by-step process. The strategy is that once your pet reaches adult, you do not train it any further. If you do, your pet hatches become a lot more expensive the older your pet is. We don't want that. Your first 5 to 6 hatches will be trying to get the stat numbers up. So in this footage, you can see I'm working with a random crab pet. It gets terrible talents because these pets are garbage. But right now, we only care about the stat numbers. And to increase it, you have to hatch over and over with your most recent adult pet, which can take a week. You need to keep hatching because of genetics.
Genetics do whatever they want to do. I don't know why my child has blonde hair and blue eyes. I don't know why my other 2 children don't have blonde hair and blue eyes.
It combines genetics of both parents, and your goal is to eventually clone the genetics of the pet you're hatching with, in which the stat numbers are the same and all the talents line up indicated by the dots. You can see the progression of my hatches, with the stat numbers have increased almost every time. There's only one time that it didn't increase, which I still train it up to adult because you might make progress on the talent pools. And to keep track of what your most recent pet is, you can place all your previous one in your dorm room. Now that we have the stat numbers to the max, we need to keep hatching until all the talents line up. In most cases, it will already be lined up by the time your numbers are maxed out. Now we can just focus on the talents your pet actually gets. At adult, you want your pet to have any 2 of these 4 talents, and this is because these are very annoying to get as a dual socket. So we want our dual socket to be the easiest one. So once your pet gets 2 of them, name it Sir Boomer in the dye shop. Our aim is to have both a father and a mother to make a baby, so you no longer need to use the kiosk to hatch, because again the kiosk is very expensive. Now that we have one successful adult pet, which is Sir Boomer, that will be the father, but now we need to make a mother. So you will use Sir Boomer to hatch with the kiosk pet and hope that the baby gets 2 of the ideal talents when you train it to adult. If it fails with a different talent like health or critical, you trash it or you put it in your dorm and you wait for the next day to hatch again with Sir Boomer in the kiosk. Until you succeed with the 2 talents, you can then name it Miss Boomer, which will be the mother parent. Now you can self-hatch in the hatchery with Miss Boomer and Sir Boomer by yourself, where you will notice that the hatch is very cheap. With the baby, train it up to ancient. If it succeeds, name it Sir Lucky. Again, if at any stage that your pet fails, you will delete it or put it in your dorm. So now you have 2 successful adult pets and 1 successful ancient pet. With one of the adults, train it to ancient. If it fails, you still have the other adult pet to hatch with, which is your backup, and hopefully the resulting baby, hopefully it succeeds at ancient, so you're trying it again. If that succeeds, name it Miss Lucky. So now you have Sir Lucky and Miss Lucky, and those are your 2 successful ancient pets, and those will permanently be your parents. So with those 2 parents, you can finally YOLO a baby to mega, where at each stage you're hoping that it succeeds with every talent that you want. And if we're hoping for success, it basically means that we're hoping that we get lucky, which is why we named our pets Miss Lucky and Sir Lucky. And I want to emphasize that you should never train Miss Lucky and Sir Lucky up, because if it fails, you have lost all of your progress, which is why we named our pets, so that we know to not train it up. Once your pet succeeds at Mega, you will need to feed it snacks that fill the strength and will bar if you haven't already. And that will ensure that your damage number actually displays as like 11% dealer and 7% pain giver and all of that. So now that you've got your perfect pet, you can dual socket the remaining talent that it didn't get. But there is a caveat. If the remaining talent you need is pain giver, dealer, or mighty, your pet needs to be leveled to ultra, which is why we wanted them as an actual talent and not for us to dual socket it. But if it's any other talent, congratulations, you have finished pet training. Now you just need to craft or farm for the jewel. For dealer, giver, and boon, you get the recipe in the pet pavilion and you need a jewel crafting table. You can buy it at Wizard City Furniture Vendor in the shopping district. To get the snacks, you go to Wisteria and you circle around to the snack icon on the map. To get steel reagents, it is dropped often in Mirage and the Arc 3 welds. When crafting, it is RNG whether you get the exact jewel you want, so it will take multiple attempts. Or you can farm the Nightmare Housing Gauntlet for a chance to drop all of the damage jewels, but if you're on console, it has not been released yet. So in the meantime, you can socket random jewels you get while questing. Don't forget to help other people out by putting your successful pets in the kiosk, including Miss Lucky and So Lucky, now that you've done with pet training. My name is Tntosion and I live stream on Twitch, so don't forget to follow me there or subscribe to this YouTube channel for more straight to the point guides.